For more on the Armed Forces Remembrance Day, I'm joined live from our Abuja studio by Brigadier General Sani Usman, former Director, Army Public Relations. Thank you for joining us on News at 7. We've seen wreath-laying ceremonies across the states, Nigerians in their numbers pouring out messages of love and appreciation to the unknown soldiers. But how do we keep up this momentum, enhancing the much-needed military-civilian relations and bridging what is apparently a trust deficit?
Good evening and thank you for having me. Unfortunately, there was a loss of airtime. I have not heard what you have said at the end. But I think when you are talking about how do we maintain the momentum, you know, the outpouring of love and commendation that we have seen earlier today morning, I think it's a sign that things are beginning to change for the better. But beyond the, you know, the rituals of red lane and what have you, there are underlying issues that need to be addressed. You know, take, for instance, you know, further recognition of the services and the sacrifices of the military and enhancing the troops' welfare as well as, you know, the families of the deceased officers and soldiers that were left behind. Then on the part of the military, they need to do more in the sense that the mechanisms they have in place, you know, the various humanitarian activities, you know, the civil-military relations processes they have in place should continue to be maintained and, you know, improved upon. With that, and other government agencies will need to also enlighten Nigerians on the role and the responsibilities of the military so that they can further appreciate this effort and contribute to national security as the case may be. So there is so much to be done, but gradually this, we need to really build on what happened today and all the events of the last 2 or 3 months since the launching of the Remembrance emblem for the Armed Forces Remembrance Day celebration 2021.
Even with government's commitment to fully paying pension for military officers, we still have pockets of grievances here and there. Just last Wednesday, we saw ex-servicemen at the Ministry of Finance in Abuja protesting what they call non-payment of 20 months minimum wage arrears. Isn't this precisely what we should be doing, encouraging those who have made that huge sacrifice, taking care of their welfare? How important is this, given this commemoration of January the 15th?
Yeah, that is what I said earlier on. I said beyond the red lane and the rituals, there are underlying welfare, you know, issues that need to be addressed. And these issues, you have mentioned some of them. And I have also seen instances where people who have one problem or the other due to the modernization and all the rest, that needs to be, you know, action has to be expedited in respect of that. And thankfully, things are getting better, you know, being digitalized and all the rest. Unlike in the past, where you have to travel to Lokoja or you go to state capital for annual verification exercise and all the rest of things. But now everything is being computerized, things are better. And also I am aware there was a ministerial committee set up some time ago that submitted a report. So it's just a matter of informing them accordingly to exercise patience and restraint to await the outcome of all these reports, and hoping that the ministry will also table the matter before the appropriate authorities so that these issues could be improved upon. And I know the issue has to do with, you know, funding of some of these things. You can imagine even the service personnel, they earn as much as just 1,500 per day, fighting Boko Haram terrorists. But statutorily, the amount it ought to be about 5,000 naira. But the problem is that the funding is not there, and people have to understand and appreciate that fact. And the government has to make, concerted effort to make sure that they match words with action. But you should understand also there are competing, services or issues in the Nigerian society. So Ministry of Defense is just one out of it. But of course, we have to understand and recognize the special, requirement of the servicemen as well as the ex-servicemen, particularly the payment of entitlement when for those that are wounded in action or they laid down their lives in the course of these operations, for the benefit of their families.
Indeed. Let's talk about the role of the citizens, private individuals and organizations. What really do we owe these gallant men who on a daily basis pay the ultimate sacrifice defending the country's sovereignty?
Well, the starting is that first and foremost is understanding and appreciating the role of the members of the armed forces in national development, national defense, and national security. That is a starting point. And beyond that, there is need for continuous support, understanding, and cooperation. And thankfully, some of the corporate organizations have started to key in because they go out of their ways to make concessions in terms of airline rebates, discounts, and all the rest of the things. And beyond that, also, we should have special recognitions in public places and all the rest. But at the same time, to whom much is given, much is expected. The military also need to understand that there is so much expectation on it by the Nigerian society, and have to live up to expectations so that they can benefit from such thing. So it's more or less like a constructive engagement between the members of the public and the military. And of course, the government has a lot of role to play in the sense that there should be continuous, enlightenment on the roles of the armed forces. And I know that the armed forces are training hard to ensure compliance. This is democracy, obedience to constituted authority, and engage in operations based on professionalism, rules of engagement, and respect for human rights. So these are the things that need to be done so that along the line, what we have been seeing in other climes will be here in Nigeria, and everybody will be happy and proud of it also.
Indeed, former Director, Army Public Relations, Brigadier General Sani Usman, retired. Happy Armed Forces Remembrance Day to you, and thank you for talking to us.